Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up? We're back for episode number 2 of the Big Loop podcast. Still working on that intro. And by the end of the episode, you're going to realize that we're still working on the outro, the conclusion as well. But that's not the point. The point is that we're here and we've got the Heineken Regatta experience story that I still want to explain a little bit more. There's some more details that I want to share. And we may as well just get right to it. That said, my name is Big Lou. This is the Big Lou Crew podcast. Been making music and doing that for the last 5 years. And that's when I actually started it all and began taking it seriously. And I've been able to do a lot of cool things on this podcast. That's what we talk about. If you haven't listened to the first episode yet, check that out. That's the first part of this story. This is the second part. They are separate stories, so you don't need one to make sense of the other one. But I don't know, it makes it more complete, you know what I'm saying? With that said, let's get right to it. So we're a couple of days before traveling to St. Martin. And I've never performed on a stage this big before. And I was doing a little bit of research. I'm like, damn, all these bigger professional musicians have these in-ear monitors. And this helps them, if you're not familiar with them, it helps them kind of like hear the music directly into their ear, so they're not relying on the feedback monitors on the stage, so that like you can hear what is being played towards the audience, but it allows you to hear that directly into your headphones or into your ears. You can hear your microphone level as well, because it gets kind of loud with the people around you, and if the speakers aren't pointing directly back to you, you don't really know where you are in terms of the song, and that can get distracting. So it just kind of makes it to the next level. And when you're really big, you'll have like stage managers talking to you. You'll have click tracks. You'll have other people communicating to you through the in ear as well. For example, telling you what song is next, what's going on, things to be aware of, different kinds of things like that. So my point is, I've never used one of those before, because I never, I guess, needed one until now. And so I did a little bit of research, and I learned that if you wanted to buy one outright for the in ear, it's gonna probably cost you about $70 to $150 in Canada. I don't know about other places, or at least Ontario, I should say. But if you wanted the whole like monitor part that sits in your back pocket that then plugs into the mixer, that costs a little bit over $1,000. And I wasn't prepared to buy that. So what I did is I went to Long McQuaid, shout out to Long McQuaid, and I bought the in-ear monitor, which was about $140, the one I purchased. It was a Shure in-ear monitor. I can show it to you if you like, if you really insist. This is what it looks like. And so they just kind of like, they're like regular wired headphones, but just like super nice quality. The ones I got are memory foam, so you squeeze them and then they fit right into your ear. This is the left side, so it'll sit over my the top over the top of my ear like this, and then in, and it'll look actually kind of cool. That's what it'll look like. And it sits on the back, and you tuck it in your shirt, and it's pretty cool actually. So it fits nice, snug. You know, the foam makes sure that it doesn't fall out. It's sweat resistant, so it's pretty dope quality. Obviously, there's different kinds of tips, but do that research if you're interested in getting that. But we ended up getting all the gear, and that meant that everything else was sorted out and ready to go catch flame Pondy Road. You know what I'm saying? So we did that. We did the whole travel experience, which was, regular. Woke up early, did the ting, made my way over. I got a couple of clips of the experience, but pretty standard travel experience altogether. When we arrived, though, I wasn't there for maybe a day, less than a day, or less than 2 days, and I was able to hear the ad on the radio. It was a super dope experience. I was sitting in the car with my mom. My sister was in the back seat. I'm not really sure if her boys were in there, but it came on and we were vibing to it, and it was a really cool, wholesome experience, to hear that on the radio. One thing I didn't mention last time in the first episode is that I did mention the producer creating both of the beats for both of the songs, Island Man and Regatta. I didn't, however, mention that they also live in St. Martin. I did a little bit more research on the platform BeatStars where I found him and his music, and I learned that he is also living on St. Martin. What are the chances of that? Because there's millions of beats on that platform, and we were able to connect over WhatsApp and Instagram. And the idea was to meet with him in person while on the island. That wasn't, it didn't pan out this time. Definitely want to connect with him in the future and do more work with him on music as well. But I just wanted to shout out DJ Waco, unreal talented engineer, producer based in St. Martin. Um, Definitely check him out if you're a musician or a rapper or a singer or whatever, and you're looking for some pretty dope Caribbean type beats and other type beats. But yeah, that was part of the experience as well. And also while there, we had a little bit of a scramble to find dancers. Um, there's a whole kind of ordeal in terms of like figuring out logistics getting to St. Martin, and then while in St. Martin, a whole other ordeal in terms of trying to coordinate other types of logistics. Um, but while we were in St. Martin, I was there for a couple of days before my partner Cynthia came, who is also a very talented choreographer. We've been performing for a couple of years now, and she has a couple of choreo pieces for two of the three songs that I was going to be performing at the regatta. And the idea was to collaborate with a couple of local dancers who could then add a little bit of their flair to the choreography, um, to then perform it all together on the stage, on the big stage. Um, so Cynthia arrived on Wednesday. I arrived 2 days before her on the Monday or the Sunday. I don't even know. Um, and then we found dancers after having three other potential conversations going, none of which panned out. Big shout out to all the people who tried to help, though. We did end up finding two dancers to join us on the Thursday, and we were performing Sunday night. So it was Thursday afternoon, and I was on the phone. We were poolside, chilling at my aunt's apartment. Big shout out to my aunt. Um, Definitely check out Carib Assist Pro for any needs that you might have when you go to St. Martin, but I'll talk a little bit more about that later. I was poolside chilling, doing a little bit of work, and I got on the phone call with JJ, who is a dancer that I was connected with because of Carib Assist Pro. Um, and pretty last minute, I like to try and do things ahead of time. And she was available to rehearse Friday night, Saturday night, and then perform Sunday night. And she was able to also find another dancer who is named Shah. Big shout out to Shah too. Both super talented, and a lot of energy. Really appreciate what they did for the whole performance. But they were able to come together, and then it was on me to now find a rehearsal space because I didn't, I wasn't necessarily prepared for all of that. Um, I've prepared dancers and or helped facilitate dancer preparation and rehearsal space and that kind of stuff here, leaning a little bit on La Compagnie de Danse, but doing it in a different country, I don't know, it's just a different experience and different kinds of a different form of thinking about the same thing, I suppose. Um, but my mom does Pilates at this studio, and she's she's friends with the owner, and I know the owner as well. So we were able to get into that space. That's Yoga SXM. Big shout out to you for letting us use your space to rehearse. It was incredible, and it did exactly what we needed to do. And thank you, Nikki. Really do appreciate you. Um, so we were able to get together Friday night, where Cynthia taught the choreo. They picked it up almost instantly. They had some fun with it, added their flares. We spoke a little bit about our wardrobe, what we're going to be working or what we're going to be wearing when we're actually performing. So I came with a bit of a vision, and we modified it as we went along. I like to do things a little bit more collaboratively. so that everyone feels like they're genuinely invested in the project and they're part of the project and their vision is also integrated in what the final vision is. Um, because I appreciate and I respect my own artistry and my vision, and I know that I can create something dope. But like I think that's what the art, an extra element of the art is, because at that specific period of time, with this specific group of people, you're doing something genuine and what feels good. And that's different than what you would do on your own or what they would do on their own. So I could do what I want on my own when I want on my own. This was a cool opportunity to integrate that, and then also them being local from St. Martin, to integrate their their influence and their styles made it more meaningful for me because I'm also from St. Martin and I'm also, Canadian. So integrating those two worlds with my Canadian girlfriend and the local dancers from there was a really wholesome experience. And developing all of that, making those bonds and those connections during the rehearsals Friday and Saturday night was definitely impactful, and it changed how the performance unfolded on the Sunday. After the second rehearsal, so Saturday night, C and I decided to go to the actual regatta to catch some of the performances that were going on, and we made it in time to see BB Bad, DJ BB Bad, who put on a phenomenal performance. She is an unreal dancer. Big shout out to her. She's out here doing her thing, growing, representing St. Martin, representing herself, representing women in music, and she's been doing phenomenal work. So lots of respect to her. And then we got to see the the famous Alison Hinds. She was one of my like favorite musicians as a child growing up. Is between her and Destra that were my like soca queens, and I still think both of them are my soca queens. But they were like my first music loves when I started getting involved in just listening to music. By no means was I a musical kid per se. Um, but yeah, no, it was really cool to see her live and then also have Cynthia there experience soca music at that level with that kind of history live. And that was on the Saturday night, the night before we were actually taking the stage ourselves. So to see the audience, to feel the energy, to dance to the music together was really a wholesome experience. And it really set the tone for the next day as well. Also, while I was there, I ran into another musician who was performing on Sunday night as well, part of Orange Grove. And I asked him, I was like, hey man, do you have any advice for performing on a stage like this? And he told me two things. He told me, show up early to your sound check, because sometimes the engineers like to kind of like rush you off, because they've got so many different things that you're doing. So it's important that you like stand your ground and make sure that you do what you need to do. And then he also said, with your in ears, make sure to walk around the stage because it's a big stage and it might sound different in different areas. So you just want to be prepared for that. I said, dope, man. Thank you so much. Those are huge tips that, like, you might not just be aware of. So hopefully you find those beneficial too. Um, but soon after that conversation, we decided to head out because we wanted to avoid that rush of traffic leaving the venue, at the end of shows. And we had a big day the next day. So C and I went home. Yeah, so I didn't realize that part two would actually be 28 minutes after I did the whole video. And so I cut that in half, and that is why it kind of just stops in the middle. And there are now three parts to this story. Enjoy.